Alright. The show must go on. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my .hack stream. As promised, I did a few things off camera to prepare myself. Because we have a project ahead of us. That's right, we have that solo dungeon. You've encountered solo dungeons in other games before. Or maybe you haven't, in which case I envy you. So, I have ample, or at least I hope ample, health drinks and recovery items. And burning oil, which apparently you just pour on yourself or something. Anyway, we're going to need that too. But before I do that, there's another solo activity which I briefly pointed out. Which is a challenge from a goblin to play tag. I'm gonna say it right now, goblins have a very weird idea of what a game of tag is like.
Let's play tag! If you win, I'll give you a reward. I really doubt that will happen, though.
Well, this looks like a job for a speed charm. That's right. As the text box says, this is a game of tag that's a battle to the death.
You did better than I thought. My bad for underestimating you. But don't get cocky. I'm only an apprentice of the Four Gob King.
There's no way to lose that game of tag as far as I'm aware. Anyway, they do get more difficult as we go along the chain. In fact, each disc has 4 goblin tag challengers, and as we progress, they bring more and more tricky things along with them. But for now, we'll just put this thing we got away. You see, these guys drop, well, they drop gear that's mostly useless, at least on their own. Actually, I forget if it's 4 or 5 goblins per... But anyway, when you get all of them on a disc, you get a key item that lets you wear all of the goblin gear on that disc and perform a powerful summon attack. And since this happens at pretty much the end of the game, it's only useful for the post-content dungeon on that disc, but being post-content, it is nice to have that bit of extra power. Anyway. Since we are a bit underleveled for this particular field, it would be rather unwise to dive right into the dungeon.
Hi. I've been waiting for you. Actually, I'm also interested in your bracelet. Thanks for coming. I'm at the lowest level of the dungeon. You can make it here, can't you?
How do you know about data drain?
Well, it's hard to say.
So, first thing I need to do is go around, get some levels, and perhaps data drain an item or two. This is neither of those things. Although a mage's soul is really valuable, and I will definitely accept that as treasure. Of course, since I'm underleveled, I especially need to make sure that my buffs are up. Now, I said earlier that... Whoa, whoa, whoa. Careful there. I said earlier that the raw physical attack skills are not very useful. But that's kind of a lie, because even a normal attack skill is useful if it's area of effect. And the thing that I'm using right now has an area of effect attack skill called Tiger Claws. My apologies for the delay, by the way. No. I've never seen that... Oh, jeez. I've never seen that happen twice in a row. Well, I don't especially see use for this armor unless I'm put in severe physical danger, which may very well happen. But anyway. Finally. So, this fellow here. This is a Menhir. It happened a little bit quickly, but if you caught it, you are not mistaken. Those Menhirs cast Resurrect on fallen monsters, and yes, this is the same revive that I used earlier, which means it's a full heal. Yeah, and these Menhir guys show up throughout the entirety of, well, mostly the first disc, but they never truly go away. You can probably guess what a pain that is, especially when you face more than one Menhir at a time, which can and will happen. The only way to truly get rid of one is to data drain it, which turns it into a different monster, thus meaning that it can't revive other monsters anymore no matter what. A third one?
Root vegetable. Root vegetable.
Fine, I'll pick you up just if I can just get you to stop making noise. Ahem. Oh, symbol.
Root vegetable.
Now, in the previous semi-boss battle where I rescued Pyros, you noticed an enemy that cast a regen spell on itself. In this game, there's also an SP regen skill. Oh, no, that's not it. Well, I'm extremely lucky in that the weapon that I'm using is OP enough to instant kill most enemies in the field with one skill. Woohoo! Talk about power grind. How appropriate for this kind of game. Am I right? Well, with that done, I think it's about time for me to head to the dungeon. The downside to the symbols, well, there's not an actual downside, you don't hurt yourself, but there's a wide variety of buff spells, not all of which are useful. For example, there is one buff spell for each particular kind of element that makes you stronger in that element. Very useful in some cases, like when you're fighting a boss that favors a particular elemental attack. Not so useful when cast randomly, though. Also, I hope you're enjoying the stream so far.
Thank you for playing the world. This area is currently unstable and not functioning properly. Please return to the field immediately and gate out to the town.
This game has the laziest admins. They can't even do this sort of thing in person.
Please return to the field immediately.
Yeah. Ooh, Tiger Claws is really nice around here. So, Well Water is an Earth-themed elemental buff item. There's 6 types, 1 for each element, and I will need to collect a great deal of all of them because, as shown in last stream, there's specialized traders who will give up amazing stuff if you give them enough of these. I plan to do most of that grinding off camera, of course. You know, in retrospect, since I'm doing all physical stuff right now, I don't really need my, magic gear. Perhaps as we advance into the later floors, we'll encounter something that can justify it. So, you've seen how quickly player character death can happen if you saw the last stream. If you're new, well, hello, and thank you for joining. And I will say that Kite got KO'd rather quickly in a bad situation last time, but fortunately, since I was in a party, I could ask one of my party members to resurrect me. This time, though, alone, so sudden death is the rule. Oh man, I am still really underleveled for this. If I don't encounter enough monsters to level up soon, it might actually be worth it for me to go back and redo what I've done so far. Oh. And while I'm at it, I should also pick up more of these buff items. Since my buff time is limited, I'm going to leave those alone for now. Although this is a good place to grind well water items if you're so inclined. Dang. 4 enemies with 1 skill. Kite is a dancer of death with that thing. I don't think I've ever had such an easy run through this dungeon. Or most dungeons. So now I have to basically guess whether or not I can handle what's coming up.
So, what do you think? Do you think the area is really corrupted?
Sure looks like it.
The truth is, for something to be born, something must break. The same applies to humans. Do you understand what I mean?
You are a strange person, and I'm not sure I want to spend time with you. Oh, no, no. I'll have to actually attack one of them legit. Man, how do I deal with that? No, no, never mind. They clustered together just in time. So the nice thing about locked chests is that they never have those tarot cards items. Don't get me wrong, they're nice, but the rest of the stuff in the drop pool tends to be much better. Is level 7 enough for this? Well, we'll see. We will see. I don't like that one bit, though. If I survive, though, I should be well stocked for trade later. Oh, I think the boss is coming up.
You came here to find the secret of the bracelet, but you don't quite trust me.
Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. You've been almost purposely behaving.
The world does not consist of only ones and zeros. It allows the existence of areas between yes and no.
Well, let's face it, you're acting like a JRPG villain, kinda.
Humans are interesting, aren't they?
Oh, I remember you. Finally, a chance to smack something with data drain. Oh dang, I wonder if that's the rare item. Let me check. So there's 3 tiers of things that you can get from a data drain. There's virus cores, which are, of course, required to progress, so you need to collect them. It doesn't look like it. There's common items, and then there's rare items. That description is entirely appropriate. You will not get them very often. Oh, here we go. I'm full on treasure stuff. By the way, when I rescued Pyros, I thought that he gave me a level 1 fire scroll, the kind I'd been collecting all the time previous. However, that was not the case. Oh, this dungeon is trying to kill me in very inventive ways. So, do I have any ice scrolls that could be useful? Doesn't look like it. Well, that's not too surprising. I haven't been exploring any ice fields. That's where... Oh boy, I should have thought about that. But, too late to deal with that now. Okay. One of the really nice things about items is that they have basically no recovery or downtime, but of course, manual casted spells do. So if my power-ups run out during a battle, it's pretty easy to fix that. So the type of grunty foods that you get are determined by the field that you go into. Or, for the case of eggs, the type of dungeon that you go into. So for example, this is a sort of a stone wall dungeon, and immature eggs show up here. Oh wow, it's next to two big treasure rooms. Wow. They aren't holding back on how ominous it is. So as you've guessed from my behavior, I do know what's ahead. Well, of course, it's not a blind playthrough, and I'm definitely gonna need this.
Go closer to that magic portal.
How did you know that was gonna come out anyway?
Now, show me. The power of the one who holds the bracelet.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that fire attack, and there's gonna be another one later. I think I can afford to wear the magic gear, but I don't have a good spell to use, so never mind. But regardless, anytime I'm hurt, I definitely need to recover because precarious position. Actually, this skill executes really fast. But, oh, let's see. I need to be careful in case... I don't know whether this enemy can crit or not, but at least I'm doing good damage. Okay, this is why I need to keep my SP above 10 at all times. When a data bug enemy goes into Protect Break, it can wear off. Well, any Protect Break can wear off. And if it does, I have to go through that entire fight again to achieve another Protect Break. It is no fun. Hooray! Now I can open that protected area I ran into before. Also, now this is only a fire-breathing dragon. Yep, easy, right? Well, actually, it kind of is. It can still breathe fire or cast fire spells like normal. Oh wow, okay, so... Note taken. Data draining a boss actually affects your infection rate quite a bit. But it should be okay since this is the end of the dungeon. Yep, I will definitely accept another virus core. It sounds like a pretty dangerous thing to collect, but it's actually, you know, required.
So that's the data drain. I've never seen it before.
What? What do you mean by that?
I mean, I'd be kind of surprised too, since she pretty clearly knows what it's all about.
Are you angry? I just wanted to know the extent of your power. If you were too weak, there would be no point in teaching you how to hack the gates.
Hack gates?
You just drained a virus core. That talent comes in handy if you know what you're doing. Virus cores are the key to breaking through protective barriers. Of course, virus cores are useless to those who don't have the bracelet. I'll show you how to hack the gates. Come to the Chaos Gate. I enjoyed watching the data drain.
Well, also, the game later explains why you can get virus cores even from normal enemies. In short, The virus just hadn't completely taken hold of those guys, but yeah, viruses
First,
everywhere.
add us to your party. Then we will go to the gate.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, this is the second part of the project, and the reason why I was so, apprehensive about what's going on. We will see why, shortly. Let me just make sure that I have the things that I want to trade over, or more like gift over, but anyway. This looks good. Yeah, that'll have to do. So, as she said, we are adding Mia and Elk to the party.
Right, let's go.
I have no idea how they managed to get that far down into the dungeon, but
Okay.
they are very low level. Well, Mia is not quite as bad as Elk, but still. Their gear is not the very worst, but it's still not surprising that they're not very powerful because, well, in the cutscene where they are introduced, it's demonstrated that they usually spend their time walking around looking for an item called aromatic grass.
There's never a dull moment with you.
And we will find out more about that item later. I promise that you will not be impressed.
Thanks. I'll gladly. There's never a...
What's aggravating about this is that these two people are clearly the kind that do what they want.
Thanks. I'll gladly accept it.
In short, they will usually not join the party. Well, the game will say that they're not online, but effectively, getting them to join throughout most of the story is, well, forget it, not gonna happen.
Yes? What is it?
So all of the stuff that I'm giving them right now is not going to see use again. Yeah, and I had to put in a reasonable amount of work to trade for a lot of the stuff that I'm gifting right now.
Yes? What?
The good news is that I'm picking up more gear to trade as I go along,
You mean I...
so that I can provide appropriate stuff to people who will join me on a more permanent basis. But still, having these two people as a charity project where I have to level them up and give them gear and they're going away right after one dungeon, it's an experience. I'm just gonna sell the level 2 stuff, because even in trade to someone who can use it, they're not very valuable.